Hi there, welcome to my YouTube channel Dhyani Classes. If you are watching my video for the first time, do subscribe my channel, hit the bell icon so that you get notified whenever new video will be uploaded. So in today's video, we will cover the chapter Indigo part 3 from the class 12 CBSE. So let's get started. He was giving them concrete proof and their might, hitherto dreaded and unquestioned, could be challenged by Indians. So here Gandhiji telling all the facts to the author Louis Fisher that he gave a very solid and strong proof that nobody could challenge them, but the people of the village and Indian peasant feel fearful while asking anything about injustice, and all of them fear the Britishers. But now we can feel that Indian can challenge them to fight, roll back their rights, and we can fight against the injustice because they came together. That means we have a lot of strength. If we will come together, then definitely we will win the fight. The government was baffled. The prosecutor requested the judge to postpone the trial. Apparently, the authorities wished to consult their superior. So by seeing that huge crowd in front of the courthouse of the peasant, so government got confused, and government was in a dilemma, and they requested prosecutor to postpone that case for uncertain period of time, and then they went to consult their superior. That means they went to, or they approached chief supervisor and high authorities to postpone the case. So at that time, or at that moment, when Indian peasants demonstrate their power to get justice and fought against the Britishers, that's why government was baffled. Gandhi protested against the delay. He read a statement pleading guilty. So by seeing that huge crowd, the prosecutor requested the judge to postpone the case, and Gandhiji got very angry by seeing this and said, "You brought me here for the case, and now without any reason you are postponing my case." So Gandhiji requested them to continue the case, and you cannot delay it without any reason. And then he read a statement pleading guilty. That means he accepted that he had violated the rules. So he had accepted that he had done wrong. He was involved. He told the court in a conflict of duties. On the one hand, not to set a bad example as a lawbreaker. On the other hand, the render the humanitarian and national service for which he had come. So while hearing, Gandhiji accepted that he had done wrong, and he was involved, and said that he was in a conflict of duty. That means he was puzzled, as he was not sure whether he is breaking the law or helping people of the nation, and said that he was doing his job, but one of the messenger overtook me and gave me notice to leave the place without any reason, and I disobeyed that notice. So in this way he accepted himself as lawbreaker. But on the other hand, he said that he did not break any law. And I am only helping Indian peasants to get justice, and this is the topmost responsibility to support Indian people as an Indian, and I'm fighting for them. I am fighting for their own rights. He disregarded the order to leave, not for want of respect for law authorities, but in obedience to the higher law of our being, the voice of conscience. So here Gandhiji is saying that his intention was not to break the law and did not want to disobey the law, but he was bound to his conscience, as his conscience wanted him to support to his countrymen like poor farmers and others who are facing trouble due to the inappropriate rules and orders. So whatever he has done, it was the voice of his consciousness. He asked the penalty due. The magistrate announced that he would pronounce sentence after 2-hour recess, and asked Gandhi to furnish bail for those 120 minutes. Gandhi refused. So here Gandhi wanted to know what penalty he had to pay. So he asked the penalty. He asked about the due penalty. So the magistrate announced that he would read the final verdict or penalty after 2 hours, and that means the judge wanted to take break for 2 hours. So he furnished bail for those 120 minutes. That means he released Gandhiji for 2 hours. So judge asked him to pay some amount of money to get bail for next 2 hours, but Gandhi refused to pay money for the bail. The judge released him without bail. When the court reconvened, the judge said he would not deliver the judgment for several days. So here the judge decided to release him without paying any due for 2 hours. When the court reconvened, that means when the court began once again, the judge said that he would not deliver any judgment for several days. That means to delay in judgment, and after some days he is going to deliver final judgment. Meanwhile, he allowed Gandhi to remain at liberty. Rajendra Prasad, Brij Kishore Babu, Maulana Mazhar al-Haq and several other prominent lawyers had arrived from Bihar. So here the judge decided to delay in judgment for some days till the time he allowed Gandhi to remain at liberty. That means they set Gandhi free and he can go anywhere, and whatever he can do, what he wanted to do, he can do. So afterward, Rajendra Prasad came with very prominent leaders and lawyers such as Brij Kishore Babu, Maulana Mazhar al-Haq and other several to support Gandhi. They conferred with Gandhi what would they do if he was sentenced to prison, Gandhi said. So they conferred with Gandhi. That means they had a meeting and discussion with Gandhi, and during discussion Gandhi asked them what would they do if he was sentenced to prison. That means here Gandhi asking them a question that what will they do if he sent to the jail. Why? The senior lawyer replied, they had come to advise and help him. If he went to jail, there would be nobody to advise and they would go home. So in response of Gandhi, the senior lawyer said that if he went to jail, there would be nobody to advise. That means they will go back to their place, or they will go back to their home, and nobody will be there to help him out. So that was the one of the reply from the senior lawyer. What about the injustice to the sharecroppers? Gandhi demanded. The lawyer withdrew to consult. So that was the confusing statement to Gandhi, what the senior lawyer said, and he immediately said, what about the injustice to the sharecroppers, and what will happen with the sharecroppers and injustice? That means who is going to support them? After hearing this, all the lawyers gathered together and withdrew to consult. That means they started discussing something. Rajendra Prasad has recorded upshot for their consultation. They thought amongst themselves that Gandhi was totally a stranger, and yet he was prepared to go to prison for the sake of the peasants. If they, on the other hand, being not only resident of the adjoining district, but also those who claimed to have served these peasants should go home, it would be shameful desertion. So while discussion, Rajendra Prasad jotted down some key notes, whatever they were discussing. So what do you mean by upshot here? That means outcome or result of something. So he was recording some facts for further reference, and they thought that Gandhi was totally a stranger. That means he came from somewhere else and he is helping sharecroppers and farmers, and even he is ready to go to the jail. On the other hand, they thought he is not belonging to that particular district. Even then, he is fighting for the peasants of the districts. So they decided not to go home back, and if they will leave Gandhi alone at this time, and go home, then that would be shameful desertion for them, leaving Gandhi alone if he goes to the jail. They accordingly went back to Gandhi and told him they were ready to follow him into jail. The battle of Champaran is won, he exclaimed. So after deep discussion, they went back to Gandhi and said, we are ready to go to the jail with you, and the battle of Champaran is won. That means they are certain that they will win the fight. So after hearing this from the lawyer, Gandhi became very amused, became very happy, and he exclaimed, that means he said. Then he took a piece of paper and divided the group into pairs and put down the order in which each pair was to court arrest. So after that, Gandhi took a piece of paper and divided the group into the pair. That means he called all the lawyers close to him and jotted down the name and divided those names into the pairs. That means Gandhi suggested them to arrange yourself in this order to arrest. Several days later, Gandhi received a written communication from the magistrate informing him that the lieutenant government of the province had ordered the case to be dropped. So several days later, that means after some time, Gandhi received a written communication from the magistrate. That means he received a written letter from the magistrate and he informed him that lieutenant governor of the province had ordered the case to be dropped. That means magistrate has mentioned in written that his case has been dropped and there will be no more hearing in this case. That means case is dismissed. Civil disobedience had triumphed the first time in modern India. So here Gandhi said this is the first time when civil disobedience had triumphed. That means he got victory for disobeying the laws. So due to large number of the support to Gandhi, magistrate dropped the case. Gandhi and the lawyers now proceeded to conduct a far-flung inquiry into the grievances of the farmers. Now Gandhi and lawyers came to know what can set the farmer free, what we can do to set the farmer free from the burden of the long-term agreement, and they proceeded to conduct the far-flung inquiry. That means deep end checking into the complaints of the farmers. That means lawyers started to collect the documents related to the complaints filed by the farmers and asking them their suffering. Disposition by about 10,000 peasants were written down and notes made on other evidence documents were collected. So here there were 10,000 peasants who gave a written document or who jotted down their statement that whatever pain and problem they were facing at that time. So the lawyer collect all the written statement from the peasants. The whole area throbbed with the activity of the investigators and the vehement protests of the landlords. So during this process of far-flung inquiry, the whole area throbbed with the activity of the investigators. That means people of Champaran were fully activated to support lawyers and Gandhiji and the vehement protest of the landlords. That means landlord also came out and showed their anger and ready for the strong protest against injustice. In June, Gandhi was summoned to Sir Edward Gate, the lieutenant government. So in the month of June, Gandhi was summoned to Sir Edward Gate. That means Sir Edward Gate called him. And who was Edward Gate here? He was a lieutenant government at that time. Before he went, he met leading associates and again laid detailed plans for civil disobedience if he should not return. So before meeting Sir Edward Gate, the lieutenant government had called back all the lawyers and he told them, if I did not return, you should go and get arrested in pairs and according to the plan. Gandhi had four protracted interviews with the lieutenant government, who as a result appointed an official commission of inquiry into the Indigo sharecroppers situation. So Gandhi had a long interview with Lieutenant Governor, and through this long interview, the governor appointed an official commission of inquiry on the Indigo sharecroppers situations. That means he arranged a team for inquiring for the condition of the sharecroppers. So finally, interview was fruitful, and they came to an conclusion of finding the real fact behind the injustice of sharecroppers. The commission consisted the landlords, government official, and Gandhi as the sole representative of the peasants. So after that, government official started finding the facts, and it seemed two-sided fight for the peasants, and governments consist of landlord and government official as well. That means government had a landlord and other official. On the other side, Gandhi was alone, who representative of the farmers. Gandhi remained in Champaran for an initial uninterrupted period of 7 months, and then again for several shorter visits. So due to inquiry, Gandhi remained at Champaran for several months, and then again for several shorter visits in order to take care peasants and to show and to know the status of the inquiry. The visit, undertaken casually on the entity of unlettered peasants in the expectation that it would last a few days, occupied almost a year of Gandhi's life. So there was a sharecropper named Rajkumar Shukla who urged Gandhiji to visit Champaran, and unlettered peasant, that means illiterate peasants, to come in Champaran and took into the issue of the sharecroppers. So Gandhiji stayed there for a long time just because of humble request by the unlettered peasants, and it took a year of Gandhi's life to stay there. The official inquiry assembled a crushing mountain of evidence against the big planters, and when they saw this, they agreed in principle to make reference to the peasants. So during the inquiry, government officials gathered a lot of evidence against the big planters. That means they assembled a large number of evidence against the British landlord, and when they saw this, they agreed to pay money back to the farmers. But how much must we pay? They asked Gandhi. So after seeing this, they asked Gandhi how much money they have to pay to the farmers. They thought he would demand repayment in full of the money which they had illegally and deceitfully extorted from the sharecroppers. He asked only 50%. Now, due to official notice or due to official inquiry, landlord got to know that they are at fault, and they accepted, and they are ready to pay back illegal money to the farmer. And the landlord were thinking about if Gandhi would demand a repayment in full of the money in which they had received from the farmers. So Gandhi demanded to pay back 50% of money whatever they had extorted from the farmers. I hope you liked the video. Let's look at the fourth part of the lesson in my next video. If you like the video, do subscribe my channel, hit the bell icon so that you get notified whenever new video will be uploaded. So thank you so much for watching once again. Stay safe, stay healthy.